This is a story about a young girl who wakes up one morning with a strange red spot on her face. While she slept, a spider crawled across her face and stopped for a moment and went on its way. "What is this red spot on my cheek?" she asked her mother the next morning. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother says. "It'll go away soon, just don't scratch it." Soon the red spot grew into a boil. "Look at it now," she said. "It's getting bigger." In a few days, the spot grew even bigger. "Look at it now. It hurts and it's ugly." That night, she was taking a bath. She felt agony in her cheek. It felt as though something was trying to get out, but she was right. As soon as she put her hands on her cheek, millions of spiders crawled out of her cheek. We're starting today's tutorial off with a product that they use in a lot of my videos. This is the Nye Flesh Effects Gel. It comes as a hard component. You heat it up in hot water and then it becomes a liquid form, so you can manipulate it to whatever form that you want. That's what you'll see me doing here, just with the end of a Q-tip. It'll also go back to a solid form once it dries, so you want to get it to the shape that you want and then move on. I'm going to actually move on to giving it some dimension and some color, trying to make that boil look a little bit more infected. So I'm just using this Nye Bruise Abrasion wheel. I love the colors in this as well. It's perfect for a look like this. And I'm just starting to add color just to the outside of the boil. So now that we've laid the basis for the first layer, we're going to go ahead and add another layer of that gel effects. Now you can see it's becoming a little bit harder to put on because it is drying, so you want to work quickly. But as you can see, I'm really increasing the surface area of that boil. You might have to sit like that because, like I said, it does become a liquid. So you might have to hold it back so it doesn't drip down your face. Once it has dried down, you can go in with the foundation just so it blends in a little bit better with your skin. It doesn't look like a clear consistency that it originally is. I just keep adding more colors and more dimension by adding little veins right around where the boil is. You want to make this as nasty as possible, so I started to add a little bit darker of a shades closest to the outside of the boil, and then continue until you get the desired look that you like. Now I'm just adding a little bit of highlight on top of the pimple or boil itself, just using a white cream paint. We'll go back in later and add more color, more dimension, and we'll just keep doing the same process over and over again. I wanted to add some more red, really vibrant red to the outside. We want this to look really, really infected. Again, this is still using the Nye Bruise Abrasion wheel, and I'm just using a sponge to buff it all out. Now is the fun part, all the little spiders that come out. So I'm using a black paint from Mehron. This is a water-activated paint. And I'm just starting to draw the little tiny spiders all on my face. These are fairly easy to draw. If you don't know how to draw spiders, definitely look at a reference picture. That's exactly what I did. And they're really tiny. You kind of look like little crabs when you start to draw them, but then you add the legs and they really come together. So I'll just let you watch me actually draw the little tiny black spiders on, and then we'll move on from there in the tutorial. By the way, does anybody actually remember this story? It was from a book, and there were a series of books called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and this just happened to be one of them. We used to read them all when I was younger. So if you know the story, definitely comment in the section below. I would love to hear from you, just so I know that I'm not the only one that remembers this story from my childhood. The original Red Spot story only talked about spiders on her face, but I wanted to go a little bit further for this tutorial. So what I decided to do was put a spider web on my neck and create some more larger spiders, kind of like a mama bear, papa bear, to match all the little tiny spiders on the face. Continuing to use that Mehron black water-activated paint, I'm creating the actual spider web now. No spider would be perfect with all of the little spokes in between. So as you can see, I'm starting to draw some different shaped lines, different sizes. It's not going to be perfect back and forth. And I'll go ahead and let you watch and see how I create the web itself. So once you've finished drawing all of the web, you can then do a nice little dance like this and move on to creating the larger spiders. I'm really just outlining where they're going to go because I'm going to be highlighting them later and you'll be able to see them better. Right now I really am just outlining. So use again a reference picture. I used a picture just from Google to really help me guide where I was drawing to create the spider. I just couldn't stop there. I was having so much fun drawing these spiders, so I decided I want to do one real big one on the other side of my neck, so that's what you'll see here. I first start with the base of the spider, adding the top part, and then I'm going into out of the legs. You can see me again looking at a reference picture, so I would definitely recommend doing that first. You can also practice on your hand or your leg before you actually do this on your face. It really is just practice, so I would definitely recommend, again, looking at a reference picture and practicing on yourself before you decide to do your look for Halloween. To make the look a little bit more cohesive, I decided to do a very small spider web just on my forehead, so that's what I'm doing here. Using the same technique that I used on my neck, I'm just drawing the actual spider web itself and just a very teeny tiny little spider around the web. So no look is complete without some shading and some highlighting. So first we're going to start with some shading. I'm using a black eyeshadow from Melt Cosmetics. This is in Dark Matter, and what I'm trying to do is think about where the web would actually cast a shadow. So underneath each of the little spokes, you can see I'm just going in and adding shadow. You don't want to just put black all over the place. You really want to think about where the sun would naturally hit it and create that natural shadow. We'll be going in afterwards on the other places where you didn't put the shading to put the highlighting. So you'll notice a difference between the two, and that's when this whole look will really come together. So I'll let you just watch me and see where I place the shadows, and then we'll move on from there. Like I said, we need to do some highlighting, so I'm using Clown White from Mehron. This is a great product to use to highlight, and now you can see this look really coming together. Anywhere where I didn't have a shade or a shadow, I'm going in and highlighting. I'm doing this on top of the actual spiders themselves. Again, this is where the sun would directly be hitting the spiders. So I'm giving the spider on my neck a little bit more dimension as well, and I also added a little bit of red to him as well because he wanted to be different from the rest of the spiders. As if the spider didn't already look real enough, I wanted to go in and do a little bit more shading. So I am taking a light brown eyeshadow and just trying to create that nice shadow underneath the spider so it does really look as though the spider is on top of my skin. This is just a little trick that'll help to make it look more realistic. You can really see now where the highlights really brought those spiders together, and you can start to see them more on the web. I also added some red to the ones that were on the web as well. That way you can see them a little bit better and differentiate them from all the ones on the face. Once you have finished that tedious job of highlighting and shading, you want to go in and add a nice lip. I decided to go with a vampy, really dark, bold lip. This is from Wet n Wild. All the products that I use will be listed in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. I did want to go one step further, so I decided to use this stage blend from Mehron, and I wanted to make it really gross and gory and really look as though that boil did open up. So I added a little bit of this liquid, and it looks just nasty. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is the final look. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the sections below, and I will make sure I get back to you. I hope that you liked it. If you do, just give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys.